Under the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. Flourish pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, real daddy band.
All right, it is that time of the night. It is our third show here of 4. It is time for the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. How's everybody doing? Josh Wilson along with here with Christopher Like, and boy, these shows go quick sometimes. I'll tell you that right now, Chris.
Oh yeah, they do.
No, absolutely. Here as we welcome everybody again here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz, coming up here in about 10 minutes time, or roughly around that, is going to be head coach Robby Pruitt from the Williston Red Devils, the first coach in the nation ever to hit 200 wins in 2 different states, a milestone. And we'll talk to coach about that, as well as the everything that the Red Devils are doing this season. And as we do that, we are going to go ahead and recap week number 6 and go into our Blitz lines here and look at what has happened here. And first and foremost, the game that got head coach Robby Pruitt to 200 wins into Sunshine State. That is that 49-21 win over Trinity Catholic. And the Red Devils, I mean, they just literally lit it up on the ground. They did have a passing touchdown with Jordan Jasikoff having that passing touchdown. But, I mean, when you start to look at the rushing touchdown, Jasikoff also had a rushing touchdown. But Cameron Monet, 2 touchdowns, and then Jaden Monet, 2 rushing touchdowns. So a pounding ground attack, as you would say, for the Red Devils.
Yeah, and what can you say about the Red Devils playing, beating Trinity Catholic the way they did? You know, that's very impressive. So,
no, absolutely. It is very impressive there for the Red Devils and for the Celtics here as we roll along here with everything that we've got here in digesting the news and the headlines that we have seen here. So Williston now moves on to 4-1 on the season. Trinity Catholic now at 2-3. And by the way, we all picked right on this. By the way, I think all of us we were a perfect 6-0 on our picks last week. So. Yep. So that's a pretty impressive accomplishment there for all of us. There you go. Round of applause. Looking at Eastside and Dunn now, and Eastside didn't put the stats in the box, but we can look at the box score, and they held off a late Dunellen comeback, 16-14. Eastside pulls off a district victory over the defending district champs from last year, and Dunella now dropped to 2-4, Eastside 4-2, and they're going to have to deal with South Sumter here in a couple of weeks for the Rams. And South Sumter, it looks much better than what they were this time last year.
Yeah, Dunella got their work cut out for them the next couple of weeks, and I don't think they're going to get there. So, but who knows? We'll see what they can do.
They kind of put the car in the parking lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and sometimes 2 points can do that to you.
Yeah, 2 points throws everything off there, and here looking at it here, Eastside they got a safety 2 points in the first quarter, and then scored 7 and 7 in both second and third quarter, and Dunellen tried to push late to catch Eastside, but it was a little too late on that one. So we roll into this one. Oh boy, I mean Chiefland. We thought Chiefland would win, but we didn't think it would be this wild of a game. But Chiefland moves to 5-1 with a 41-0 victory over Trenton, and it stops Trenton's win streak at 4. Trenton now 4-1 the season. Chiefland at 5-1, and gosh, I got to tell you that those Indians putting up 41 points against Trenton when we thought Trenton was going to score some, but it tells us that Trenton, the gap between Chiefland and Trenton right now is still this big right now.
Oh yeah, and Chiefland, they've been on a roll all season, and that tells you more about Chiefland than just Trenton there. So.
No, absolutely here, and with everything that said here, I see that I'm gonna point out that I see that Coach says they haven't connected their mic and camera, so we're hoping to get that situated here as we roll along here. We'll find out as we get ready for Coach here. But if not, we'll bring Coach in through the phone. We will work that throughout, but. Just give you all a thing, we'll be able to still do the interview. Just may not be video if it ends up not working out that way. But University Christian Santa Fe. University Christian rolls over Santa Fe 49-17. It stops Santa Fe looking at a bid for going to 5-0. And Santa Fe, the Raiders, their first loss of the season. But as I talked to Coach David Penland on the phone the other day from University, and he says Santa Fe is a really good team. They're definitely a much better team compared to what they were last year at this time. And Ernest Graham definitely has got Santa Fe cooking up, but University Christian rolled with a big game over Santa Fe.
Yeah, Santa Fe, they've been struggling. So, University Christian been on the roll.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still thinking, but if we have to, I see Coach try to pop back in again. We'll work on it here as we roll along here. Looking at everything here, going through this here, as we roll along here, our next game that we had on our picks here, we had Southlake and Forest, and boy, that was a close one, 30-25. Southlake wins that one. Southlake had a 10-0 lead at half, but Forest made it a game in the second in the second half, and came up 5 points short on against the Eagles. But John Brantley's crew 3-2, but they're definitely much well into the playoff mix there. And but Southlake moves to 5-1 in the season. Southlake, a team in the Central Florida region, but yeah, looking at it. Forced, it's not a bad loss in a lot of ways. A game that most they were not even competitive in last year. Here they are this year.
Yeah, Southlake, they're one of the better teams in the state, and that's a very impressive loss for Forest. They're going to learn a lot from playing Southlake. So we'll see if they can get them fight their way into the playoffs.
Oh boy, I see Mark Cannon as I say trash talk on poor Newberry. Hey Newberry beat Palaca. Okay, Newberry finally picked up a win, but I don't think it's going to be pretty this week for Newberry, considering they got Santa Fe on the docket. But yeah, Newberry's having their struggles this year, unfortunately. But the big game that was last week was Buchholz-Nice. Buchholz 27-7 over Nice sent Nice back to St. Johns County with their second straight loss on the season. Andrew Whittemore, 15-21, 182 yards, no touchdowns passing, but he had 2 touchdowns on the ground with 88 yards rushing. The sophomore quarterback and the son of head coach Mark Whittemore. And The Bobcats have now rolled on to 5-1 on the season, and one of the top 25 teams here in the state right now, according to the Florida Power Rankings Index. And Buchholz extracts the revenge. They get the revenge on Nice for that loss last year that happened in overtime, and Buchholz is like, not this year.
Oh yeah, Nice. Buchholz on a roll. I think Buchholz is going to be a big threat for the playoff this year. So
no, absolutely,
they're going to go deep.
No, absolutely here. All right. It is time for us to take a break here. We're going to try to get Coach Pruitt on. It looks like we're having a connection issue on our end, so we may have to bring him through the phone here. But as we wrap it up here on the Blitz lines and go into the interview next coming up here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz, we appreciate everybody that's joining us here tonight. Thank you so much. We'll be right back right after this.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown!
Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz, and I think we've got Coach situated and set up, and I believe, there it is, there he is, right there. I think we got him. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Hear you. That is awesome. Appreciate you joining us here. I thought we were having a tech issue, but we got it worked out just in time, and everything is there. And Coach, first and foremost, I appreciate you joining us here. Your busy schedule there with Williston, and with everything. Congratulations on the milestone to the first coach in the nation to reach 200 victories in 2 different states. And Coach, just I guess kind of give us a thought of like just how the feeling is just being able to do this, given your career and what you've done, and both in not only here in the Sunshine State but in Georgia as well.
You know, it's humbling, but to be quite honest with you, I didn't even know it was a record until last year. So I mean, it wasn't anything I was shooting for or that kind of thing. It just kind of happened. The guy from Max Preps called me last year and said, Coach, you're at 196, and I don't know what your plans are, but, if you get 4 more wins next year, you'll be the first coach to get 200 wins in 2 states. So it really wasn't anything. Like I said, it's kind of, accidental, I guess, so to speak. in some senses, from that regard to, knowing anything about it. But it's, I think it's something you look back on when you hang up the whistle and say it's all over, and probably, relish a little bit more than you do while you're kind of, still in it, but it's humbling, and I'm awful grateful to all the people. I've had so many unbelievable coaches and great players and administrators and boosters and all that have kind of, made that possible. So that's really what I thought about more than anything, is all the people that, made it possible.
No, absolutely. And Coach, with that said, obviously, a lot of people know about your coaching career. Obviously, the run at Union County, obviously the 4 state championships you had at University Christian. But let's talk about the team that you're currently coaching, those Williston Red Devils, sitting there at 4-1 on the season here, a big win over Trinity Catholic. I mean, what have you learned so far about your team so far this through the first 5 games they've played so far in 6 weeks?
We got a gutty team. We've hit the injury bug here as of late, and we've not been able to get everybody on the field at the same time. And I'm hoping sooner or later we can do that and get some continuity. But these kids play extremely hard. If there's one thing I know that they're not going to quit and not play hard. We haven't always played well and played pretty, but man, they've always given it everything they've had. And we opened up the season with Chiefland and probably played our worst game. We had turnovers and bad snaps on punts, and we lost in double overtime. But since then, we've gotten a little better. We got to get a whole lot better, but we've gotten better. And like I said, the kids have played hard, and, we've hit a little bit of a injury bug. Our starting center's been out for a couple of weeks, and I think he's going to be out again. And we've got a starting defensive end out. We've had to move some people. Our quarterback, we didn't know if was going to play last week until right at kickoff. Our wing back, we didn't know if he was going to play. We didn't play him much. He sat out most of the game last week too. But we, like I say, I've been proud of our kids. I've been proud of their effort. And I think we got a gutty bunch of kids that give it all they got.
So, Coach, you're in a category alongside Bob Lacador from De La Salle out of California, Gordon Wood out of Texas, John McKissick out of South Carolina. When you hear those names like that, and those are legendary coaches, what do you think of and what you've accomplished? What are you thinking?
Well, kind of like I said earlier, it's humbling. I don't know if I'm in those categories. If you do anything long enough, you finally get somewhere. I've been doing it. I'm in my 42nd year as a head coach, and I think if you stay with something long enough, like I say, I'm a product of a person that's been in good places with good people, and I've been very, very fortunate to have had the opportunity to be where I've been and do the things I've done. But it's because of a lot of other people. Like I said, we've had great assistant coaches. Some of them I think that are no longer with us. 2 of my defensive coordinator at University Christian has passed, and my defensive coordinator at Trinity, at Union County, he was a head coach there. Everybody knows Buddy Nobles that was with me and went to Georgia. He was my offensive coordinator, and Fitzgerald, my defensive coordinator, and at Union County's passed. But I had a lot of great coaches, and like I said, a lot of great players that have, I'm just kind of the one that's getting the press, but it's been a lot of other people. And I just feel humbled and grateful, to be honest with you.
Wow, and it definitely it's an impressive resume as we talk about it. But I won't go as we talk about what's been accomplished here. Let's look at what one thing that it seems to be a continuity of your coaching career. It's a lot of places it's community. It's small school football. Obviously, University Christian, private school, but still small school football. Going to Union County, rural football. Where you're at now, Williston, rural football, and even when you were in Georgia, like places like Fitzgerald and obviously Coffee, again, small towns. What is it about the smaller communities that draws you into these communities versus a larger city school?
I've just always enjoyed it. I was at Warner Robins, head coach at Warner Robins High School, of course, is in the city there and have a great tradition. And Coffee is a one-horse town, but when I got there, we were in the largest classification. We were in At the time, it was 6A and then 7A, and then went back to 6A. So but it's still a large, a one horse, one county, one school county. And that's, it's just, to me, that's what it's all about. When the town closes down and everybody comes to the game and their grandfathers and fathers and aunts and uncles and aunts were cheerleaders and uncles played. To me, I've just always enjoyed the one horse town, the small, just the importance they put on it and what it means to the communities as a whole is just, it's just kind of been my niche. I've been fortunate, but I've never taken a job in my whole career that at a school that's kind of been established. When I went to University Christian, my first job, they had went 2-8 the year before and 3-7 the year before that and been down. And Union County was the same way. They hadn't been to the playoffs in numerous years. And, back then, those days, only one team made it out of the playoffs. So it was a lot different than it is now. But, I went to Fitzgerald and they'd only won 7 games in the 9 years before we got there, and coffee had not been good. And, of course, everybody knows Williston was a little bit down when we got here, and they hadn't had a winning season in 12 years before we got here. So, that's kind of the thing I've enjoyed is going into places that we're a little bit down, and at places, though, at the same time, when I say that, is where people wanted to do the things that they had to do to have a quality program. And Williston's really reached their hands out and supported our program. The community's been unbelievable in helping us with a brand new weight room, and the parents have feed our players, supper on Monday and Tuesday nights. And they've just done everything that we've asked them to do. So I've always kind of enjoyed going into places that weren't real, up and kind of building them and building facilities and those kind of things. At coffee, we didn't have much. And when we left, we probably had one of the nicest facilities in all the state of Georgia. We had a 25,000 square foot football facility, a 10,000 square foot weight room, and a 15,000 square foot field house, and had just passed a SPLOST, and all the plans were to build an indoor, which they finished I think 2 years ago. So they got an indoor facility, and, all those things are just things I've enjoyed doing over the years, building programs.
No, absolutely. And with that said, building the programs and all that you've enjoyed, but one of our fans in the chat here has asked, and this is a good question. I'll go ahead and throw it out here from Hunter Williams is, what are you seeing both the good and the bad from the early stages of your career to now? Because obviously a lot has changed in high school football over the last 4 decades.
Well, I've been on about 15 talk shows and interviews here the last 2 or 3 days all over the country. People have been calling me, and that's the same question that just about every one of them have asked me. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a lot of differences. And it's almost sad to me a little bit, the way things have changed, especially here in Florida. It's not quite as bad in Georgia yet, but I'm not a big fan of kids coming and going and paying players and especially in high school. And, it's just, to me, we've lost a little bit of the here and now. Everybody's wanting to know about the next, they're thinking about college, and they need to think about college. That's important, and it needs to be your goal, but you need to also enjoy high school football and understand the here and the now, and understand the thing. If you do the things you're supposed to do, that'll come. That's just a byproduct. But, now if you don't throw the ball enough, they want to go where they throw it. If it's a running back and you don't run it enough, they want to go where they run it. And it's just, you don't see that. When I was in Union County, man, you couldn't blow those kids out with a cannon. They loved Union County. They were diehard Tigers. And, I'm not saying it's not that way there now because I've been gone quite a while. But, I just don't see that. I just don't see that as much anymore. Like I say, you got kids that come and go. Some kids play at a different high school every year. And, they want to get on, social media and say after much prayer and talk with my parents, I'm glad to say I'll be playing my junior year here. And then next year, my senior year. I'm not a big fan of that. I like developing and, sadly nowadays it's a lot more about gathering than it is developing. And I've always enjoyed the part I've enjoyed the most is getting young kids and starting a middle school program like we've done here, and developing a nutrition program and a weight program, and knowing who your quarterback's going to be when he's in the 6th and 7th grade. And places I've been in the past, you could do that. You could point out your quarterback, who your running backs were going to be, and I'm afraid those days are gone. And to me, it's a little bit sad, just to be quite honest with you. I still love coaching, but I see that part's not nowhere close to what it used to be.
Yeah. So, Coach, over the next few months, we have realignment coming up. There's been talk of eliminating the rural division. What's your thoughts on the rural division, and is it time for it to go and go have all these schools join in the regular classes?
I think it could be a class. They call it rural. I mean, I guess you would say, what's their criteria going to be? Is it going to be student population, or, is it going to be private versus public? The whole thing. Even, we're the only class in the state, which I'm not a big proponent of, but we're the only one the class in the state that doesn't have, I guess they call them districts down here in Georgia. In Florida, when I was here before, it was districts. And in Georgia, we had regions, and you had 6 or 7 games, and, you played those games, and you kind of knew where you're at. With this year, in rural, you got to go out and get 10 games, first of all. And when you've had a decent program, nobody wants to play you. So you got to go out and find 10 games, which is extremely tough. You have to travel, and you got tons of schools right here around you that you could play. And then, nobody yet's been able to tell me what the power ranking. I mean, you go in power ranking, and nobody, my first year here, we were undefeated, 10-0. We played Chiefland the last game of the year in Chiefland and beat them by 28 points. And the rankings came out, and they were ranked higher than we were. I mean, so I don't understand all that. I realize I don't have any control over it, and you play where they tell you. And so, to be quite honest with you, I don't think a whole lot about it. We're going to play wherever they put us, and whether it's, rural is just an A. Like I say, you could call that 1A, or 6A or whatever. But I don't. I haven't really thought much about it. Like I say, I don't like power rankings at all, and I know that seems to be the future and where we're going, but I much prefer winning it on the field and knowing. And if we do have it, somebody explain, what
I wish I had the answer too, Coach. Like
right now, if you look in rural, Hawthorne and Madison are down at what 10? Somebody showed me today, and it was
they're like 8 they're between 8 and 10, and it's like,
I'll be honest with you, I don't even look at all that stuff. I mean, but they're by far the 2 best teams in the state. And you look last year, we were 13, and I really thought we were a lot higher than that. And 13 out of 20. And when you looked at the Final Four, you had the number 1 ranked team in the Final Four at Madison. Number 2 was Hawthorne. Number 3 was Union County. And we were number 4 in the Final Four at 13. But we had played bigger schools and lost and didn't have as good a, I don't know. I'm old school. I know I'm a dinosaur, but I just prefer them putting you in a district, and you have to win your way in to get to the playoffs. And whether it's one team or now in Georgia, when I was in Georgia, we had regions and 4 teams made it. The top 2 teams in the region will get the host, and the bottom 2 were on the road, but 4 teams out of the region made it, and so I just, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot I don't agree with, but I don't have a say so. And I don't think spend a lot of time worrying about it either. I mean, it's because you don't have any say so, you play where they put you, and one thing's for sure, it's going to change no matter what they do. In 2 years, it'll change. And in 2 years after that, it'll change. And 2 years after that, it'll change. And I've been in it long enough to see that nothing stays the same. But I'm old school. I'd much prefer, a district or a region, and you have to play your way and know where you're going to be. But I know that's that probably will never happen again. But if you ask me my opinion, that's just kind of, you know, I just do. I prefer the old games, but you know, I know media probably is, but I'm not even a fan of a neutral site for the state championship game. I was in Florida and played in the last state championship game that was at home and home. And then they went to neutral sites. We went to Daytona, and then we went to Florida Field, and then we went back to Daytona, and then I went to Georgia, and I was in the last my first year we played in the state championship, and we had it at our place in Fitzgerald. And after that, but that when we went up there, they had the semifinals in a neutral place, and I did like that. I thought that was awesome. You know, you'd go and at the Georgia Dome and 3 days of football from start to finish, and it was all the semifinal teams, but then the championships went back to the towns, back to the schools. So we played in the Georgia Dome in the semis and played the last state championship at a neutral site, and then they changed it in Georgia and went to the state championship. So, you know, I'm a dinosaur, sure, but I like the championship being at the in the towns. And I played at Florida Field and played at Daytona and played in the Georgia Dome and all those playoff games, but there's nothing like having it, at University Christian in your stadium in Georgia. Matter of fact, the last championship, 2017, we were actually on our way to the Mercedes-Benz to play in the state championship game in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. And I never have understood this, but they canceled the game. It snowed, so they canceled the game.
I remember hearing about the snow canceling games up there. That was something. So, but Coach,
so we're actually on our way to. My son is at the game, who's a head coach in Georgia. He's at the game, and we're on the bus. We're on the way. We just left pregame, and we're on the way to the Georgia Dome. And my son says, "Dad, they've canceled the game." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, they've canceled the game. It's the snow." And I said, "Well, it's inside. I mean, that's why we do it." But I guess snow came off and hit a guy and hurt him. So, make a long story short, they delayed it, and then they went. And you played it at the team that had the higher seed. So we played Lee County, and both Lee County and us were in the same region. I like that about Georgia. In your regions, you split up so you could play the two best teams could be in the same region. So we played Lee County, and we had to play at that place, but it was electric. I mean, you can't play it at Florida Field in the Mercedes-Benz. You can't duplicate that, man. It's off the chart. Exciting and packed, and I just think that's the way high school football is meant to be. I did like I said, I did think it was neat playing all the semifinals in a neutral site, but like I said there, and that kind of stuff, you don't have any say so. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, and you just go with the flow, but I'm not a fan of the power rankings, and I know I may be the only one in the state that feels that way, but I do.
I think you might have more people with you on that one than not. But Coach, we're out of time, unfortunately, here on the interview. But again, congratulations on the milestone. Now over 400 total career victories. I think it's like 409 now on your total wins here. But huge milestone again, 200 wins. First coach to do it in two states here in Florida and as well did it in Georgia. And Coach, best of luck to your Red Devils the rest of the season, and we'll be watching y'all as y'all coach towards pro season play.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all for what you do for high school football. We sure appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Pruitt. Thank you again, and have a great night. That was head coach Robby Pruitt from Williston joining us here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. And guess what? That was some great answers. I gotta admit that's probably one of our best interviews we've had all season long so far.
Yeah, I agree. That was awesome.
Wrong button there. Hold on. Let me get it right into this one here. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. We're okay. I'm just my screen is not giving me. There we go. Yes, it is time for the pick six. We're going to do rapid fire on a lot of our picks here as we roll along on this one. And here we go. Bayshore 4-2 at Hawthorne 3-1. Where do we go with this one, Chris? Because I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a contest if you ask me.
No, it's not, and it's going to be Hawthorne big time.
No, I think it's going to be Hawthorne, big time Hawthorne, a 25-point favorite according to the Florida Power Rankings Index. And I'm going to roll with Hawthorne on my pick as well. I know Reno will roll with Hawthorne as well. City rivalry, Buchholz and Gainesville on this one coming up. Buchholz 5-1, Gainesville 2-3. GHS would love nothing more than to pull off a big, huge upset on the Bobcats, but Bobcats are rolling right now after beating Nice 27-7. The forecast is calling Buchholz 47 over Gainesville, but I feel like it might be a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, it's going to be a little closer than that, but Buchholz is still going to roll pretty handily, so give me Buchholz.
Yeah, that game will be at Citizens Field on Friday night. Give me the Bobcats as well. Marino will take the Bobcats as well. Fort White, 3-2 at Lafayette, 5-1. Both teams, like Williston is, they are in the mix for the playoffs. And Rural right now, they're in the top 16 of their bracket. Lafayette, a 15-point favorite over the Indians.
Give me Lafayette at home.
Yeah, I think, Lafayette here at home, I think this one is just, if this was at Fort White, I may consider Fort White an edge. I think it's going to be a little bit closer in terms of the game, but I'm going to roll with Lafayette, and Reno will roll with Lafayette as well. All right, this one in the Sunshine State Athletic Association here, as the clock somehow just stopped here on me, so we'll roll it here. And there we go. Oak Hall at Trenton. Oak Hall a 5-0 team now. If you had Oak Hall 5-0, I did not see that coming this year, considering the struggles they had last year. But the forecast is calling Trenton 1 over Oak Hall. Trenton 4-1, who got dropped pretty handily by Chiefland last week.
Yeah, I think Trenton's going to be pretty angry this week, and it's at home. It's at Trenton, so give me Trenton to upset Oak Hall.
Yeah, so you're going to take Trenton. I know that Reno would take Trenton on this one just based upon his picking philosophy. To me, this one's tough because I think it's going to be a very competitive game, but I'm for some reason, I just got a gut feeling. I think this is a game that Oak Hall is going to take out from the Tigers and drop Trenton to 4-2 on the season, and Oak Hall moves to 6-0. That's just my gut feeling. But forecast again, Trenton 1 over Oak Hall. Newberry at Santa Fe. This is a district game for the Panthers and the Raiders, and Reno not picking on this one, but the forecast, if we talked about it, what the preseason prediction had, it would have had Newberry winning this game at 6 weeks ago when we started the season. But now Santa Fe has surged up in the Florida Power Rankings Index. Santa Fe is now a 6-point favorite in this game. And Newberry 2-3, Santa Fe 4-1. Where do we go with this one?
I like Santa Fe in this one, and it's not going to be close.
Yeah, I like what Ernest Graham is doing. I think Santa Fe is showing that they are a much better team, and it's just one of those games where it's just I feel like Newberry had to fight hard last week to come back and win that game. Obviously, excuse me, and I thought Newberry had one. It was one win. It was their first win. It's actually their 2-3 on the season. Excuse me on that one. 2-3, Santa Fe 4-1. But I like what the Raiders are doing. Give me Santa Fe on this one. Manatee at Columbia. This is the big one of the week. Manatee 3-3, Columbia 5-1. Two of the oldest programs in the state going at it here at Tiger Stadium Friday night. Where do we roll with this one?
I like Columbia to win this one. I don't think Manatee's got enough in the tank for this game, so give me Columbia.
Yeah, this one, I wish Manatee was coming in a better situation with this. They're 3-3. They have had some struggles here this year. The tough road games, the tough games that they've played, even the tough game at home. It's been a struggle for Manatee this year, and I think Columbia, again, that's a sting from what happened last week against St. Augustine. But for me in this one here, I feel like the Tigers are going to come back and bounce back, and they're going to get their 6th win of the season here on this one. So that is it for our pick 6 for week 7 here. And as we wrap this up here, Chris, any final thoughts?
No, great interview with Coach Robby Pruitt, a legend, and we appreciate him coming on here.
No, absolutely here. All right, we're wrapping it up here. Appreciate everybody joining us here on the North Central Florida Blitz. It is out time for us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes for our Panhandle edition of the Blitz.